decision on the much long-awaited harmonization, rationalization, and merging of some government entities with the overall objective of bringing efficiency and better coordination. May I invite Honorable Tumwebaze to read the statement. Thereafter, he will take some questions. At his pleasure, he may call the Permanent Secretary, because she has been in the thick of this, perhaps to explain a bit details. At the end, we shall be circulating the list of those entities that have been merged, which some people prefer calling disbanded. Because disbanding implies that those services are no longer needed and are not going to be provided by government. But they are being merged, those services are going to be done by government. Thank you very much, Honorable Tumwebaze.
Okay, morning members of the press. My sincere apologies for the slight delay. We normally start at 10:30, but we had some unexpected delay. We are trying to ensure that we get the cabinet record proper. As usual, we give you what cabinet discussed and decided on. What cabinet hasn't finalized, we don't communicate, because unless a decision is taken, we cannot give you the decision. So cabinet sat on Monday, September 10th, 2008 at State House Entebbe under the chairmanship of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President. First, cabinet was briefed about the successful construction and equipping of Mulago Specialized Women and Neonatal Hospital and how it had been completed and would be open to patients from 17 September 2008. This magnificent hospital will offer the following specialized services: reproductive medicine, assisted reproductive technologies, laparoscopic and hysteroscopic surgery, maternal fetal medicine, high-risk pregnancies, women with organ transplant, women with recurrent pregnancy loss, in vitro fertilization pregnancies, urogynecology, very difficult words, complex fistula surgeries and vaginal hysterectomies, reconstruction surgery following female genital mutilation, and advanced reconstructive gene surgery. That tells you the hospital is really for complex situations. It's for high-level cases. It will be handling gynecological oncology services, cervical, vaginal, endometrial, ovarian, and vulvar cancer surgeries, and advanced neonatal medical and surgical services. Cabinet congratulated the Ministry of Health and the partners for that achievement. And on Thursday, the Cabinet of Uganda, led by the Right Honorable Prime Minister, will visit the hospital to assess its readiness and commission it off to Ugandans. Cabinet approved, number two, Cabinet approved the proposal to borrow up to $104 million to finance the national CCTV network expansion project. The money will be used to undertake the following activities: design and build the main command and control center, mobile command and control centers, and regional command and control centers. Video surveillance through the installation of CCTV cameras across the country. Installation of integrated communication platforms. Integrated case management systems, which involve face recognition, software, DNA, among other systems. Development of data center with disaster recovery sites. Installation of required network infrastructure. Training of staff in the relevant system, and operation and maintenance of the system. Number three, Cabinet approved the recommendations and implementations plan for the rationalization of agencies, commissions, and authorities. Rationalization is the same as you may call restructuring. The rationalization is required, number one, or what are the objectives that informed this restructuring? Point number one is to align the functions, the structures, the plans and budgets of government institutions based on national strategic plans and priorities for efficiency in the provision of public services. To eliminate functional ambiguities, duplications, and overlaps among government institutions. That's the other objective behind the restructuring. To eliminate wasteful expenditures in agencies, commissions, and authorities with a view to allocating these resources to other priority areas for socio-economic development of the country. For example, local governments where services take place. So when we free services from the merger, when we liberate resources from the merger, then we are able to allocate them to the unfunded priorities in the service of the country. To harmonize wages between employees of agencies, commissions, and authorities, and traditional public service in order to improve motivation of public officers. You've been hearing the debate. A lawyer in this agency earns 7 million. A lawyer in Attorney General earns 800 or 1 point something. So part of the restructuring is to harmonize this. Even those agencies which will remain, as you will be seeing the list, still the pay will be the same. It will be streamlined. And finally, to streamline the legal and institutional frameworks to ensure the retained agencies, commission, and authorities are well aligned and more accountable to the citizens and the mainstream government agencies. The Ministry of Public Service is coming with a specific list to show which agencies were combined to form one. The restructuring was based on 3 parameters. Point number one, merging some. For example, 3 making 1. Point number 2, returning others to be mainstreamed into the ministries, the mother ministries. Okay? I've been seeing people talk about UNRA. Yes, UNRA is among those agencies that will be mainstreamed into works. For example, NITA-U will be mainstreamed into the Ministry of ICT. Okay? NIRA, you've been hearing about NIRA. Okay? Will be mainstreamed into the Ministry of Internal Affairs. So that really ministries don't do same work, agencies do the same work. Of course, some people were asking, how come this happened? Why did you allow this to happen? Well, reforms are normal. Initially, agencies came as a result of looking for more efficiency. When URA was formed in 1992, it performed much better in revenue collection than the traditional Department of Customs in the Ministry of Finance. So some people felt that since URA had really done better, there was pressure for more agencies, more agencies, more agencies. So when the Ministry of Public Service and the entire government reviewed, it was found out that some were becoming duplicative and creating salary disparities. And it's not good to have public officials serving government, serving the public, having different salary scales. Whether you work for UCC, whether you work for the Ministry of ICT, you are all working for the government of Uganda. So this restructuring really is intended to harmonize. And I would like to appeal to members of the public not to accept any distortions. You know, as usual, when the government brings a reform, there are people who want to distort it. Yes. If you are a good executive director in an authority, we shall not lose you. You will come and be a good commissioner in the ministry. The same wisdom, the same energy, the same efficiency you've been having in the authority, we want it in the Ministry of Government. So that we don't have 2 layers of administration. You have a procurement officer in an agency. You have a procurement officer in a ministry. You have an accountant the other side, an accountant here. So we are trying to remove those layers of administration. Now the technical functions are not being phased out. No. Even if the agency is brought to the ministry, the technical functions the agency was doing will remain. For example, NFA, if it is brought to the Ministry of Environment, the technical forest officers who run seed banks, for example, who multiply trees, who are experts, all of those technical functions will remain there. But you will not need 2 procurement officers. You will not need 2 accountants. You will not need 2 public relations officers. Of course, some people will argue, are you not adding on to the unemployment burden? Not a problem. Not a problem. If you get resources and they are sent more to the districts, and they are sent more to the sub-counties, we are creating more opportunities for Ugandans. It's not about the agency, because these agencies were not in any way taking a huge number of people. So the list is coming to show you which one is retained. Then there are those that are retained. Now, an agency is retained for strategic reasons. One, if it's a money-making company, what do I mean? Money-making. It's in the business of trading. That one, we retain it with its board. Take an example, New Vision. New Vision is not a parastatal, though it's owned by government. Okay, it's in the trading. That one will stay. Take an example of Posta Uganda Limited. That one will stay. So, agencies of government that are in the business of trading, those have not been phased out or mainstreamed or merged. Okay? Then agencies which are involved in trainings, professional technical trainings, have also been left, because training cannot be merged with mainstream government. Examples are like wildlife centers, the ICT college, the training institutes of the nurses. Those have been left. So you will get the list of the exact mergers. Maybe that's the whole rationale. I can ask the permanent secretary to brief you on the anticipated gains, financial and otherwise, from this restructuring. Madam Catherine, thank you.
Thank you very much, members of the media present. The Minister of ICT has already briefed you on the overall, but I'll just go into some of the details of what we expect to gain from the rationalization of agencies and authorities. One, I'd like to give you an overview that the review and rationalization covered 153 government agencies, commissions, and authorities. And there were a number of key findings that were obtained from this rationalization. But I'd just like to highlight that in the short term, we expect to get efficiencies in terms of service delivery. 2, we expect to get cost savings by merging the administrative functions, as have been mentioned. Those are the generalities: procurements, accounts, human resource, and the like, where we'll save about 988.1 billion. Another is that the agencies have been taking about 37% of the entire national wage bill. So we expect that this money is the one that is going to be used to harmonize the salaries across the board. we're expecting to have efficiencies from some of the agencies that are actually obsolete, and maybe there are some residual functions that are left. For example, the departed Asians Custodian Board, which has long ceased to have relevance as a whole board. And besides that, we know that these efficiencies are going to have a replicable effect to the local governments. The local government structures are not filled to 100%. And we have been looking for funding to increase on the structures of the local governments, most especially starting with heads of departments. There are some local governments that are as low as 30% filled, and there are some which are as high as 65, 75%. So expect that these monies are going to go in that direction. Government also realized that there was a disparity in supervision, that some of the agencies were not being supervised by the ministries, but more reporting to their boards because of the legal nature of their setup. But government has got to take full control of these agencies and have these functions directly supervised by them, so that we can obtain this kind of efficiencies. Fourthly, I'd like to highlight that the process of administrative reform as a mandate of the Ministry of Public Service is one that takes center stage every 10 years. When we look at the existing structures, we look at the population, we look at the priorities of government, and see whether the existing institutions are functioning to the best of their ability and efficiencies in their current state. And that is one of the reasons why reforms have got to take place for business process review. And this is the time at which government has decided to undertake this function. In brief, that is what I can state. And I think it's...
Thank you.
We can take a few questions as usual. So I'll take first four.
Mine goes to the Honorable Minister.
Your name and media house?
Much as you insist that the workers are not going to be affected by the issue of unemployment, but there are some people who are not necessarily technical people, but those junior staffs like the cleaners and other people, believe me, they're going to lose their jobs. And it's one of the challenges we have in this country. Two, some of these agencies exist by the acts of parliament. I don't know whether you foresee that before.
Yeah, I'll take a second question.
Gentlemen. Thank you very much. My name is Andrew Precious. I'm a freelance journalist. I live in today, Precious. I'm a freelance journalist. Two questions. One, the first one. When will this merger take effect? Is it in the next financial year or is it in the next 1 month, 2 months?
Thank you. Third
Then
question.
to the second question is it's just a connection to this question about the heads of some of these agencies. Will they once, for instance, if let us say UNRWA, if it goes to Ministry of Works, will the issue of salary now, for instance, we don't know how much maybe Madam Kadina gets, but if it goes to Ministry of Works, will her salary reduce? Will her rank as the head of the previous UNRWA reduce? What will exactly happen?
Third question. Gentleman at the door.
Thank you, Right Honorable Minister. My name is Patrick Ochaido from the Kampala Post.
Wait a minute, Patrick.
Ochaido, Kampala Post.
Yes.
Precisely, Minister, how many staff are likely to lose jobs? Because I am certain that if you're having if you're having a department of like PRO in ICT, and they have a fully fledged department, and then there are also staff who are going to come and join them from Italy, there's a possibility that some people may lose jobs. And how many people get there?
Fourth question.
Yes, I thank you, Chitata. I work with the Observer. Honourable Minister, I understand some of the EDs of these agencies are politically appointed without the technical expertise required to.
What do you mean?
Yes, for example, taking the example of Allen Kajina in URA, I doubt whether she's an engineer. So, UNRA, sorry. What is going to be the fate of such individuals that were politically appointed to those positions, and now the merger requires them to have certain qualifications? Then, in addition to what a colleague said, all these entities were created by acts of parliament. Can a mere government, rather cabinet decision, do away with an act of parliament?
That was asked. Okay, another one?
Question, a gentleman there.
Hi, I'm Ader Peralta with National Public Radio in the U.S. I have a
What's your name?
Ader Peralta.
Who?
Peralta.
Okay.
So I'm with National Public Radio in the U.S. I have a broader question. I think this sort of fits into that. I was listening to the president's speech over the weekend, and what I didn't hear was sympathy for the common Ugandan. And on the streets, you know, what I hear is frustration about the economy, about jobs, about school fees, about high taxes, about the quality of healthcare. So, I mean, does the Ugandan government hear those complaints? And, I mean, does it sympathize with Ugandans?
Thank you.
I want us to deal with specific questions to do with the briefing.
I will also answer him, don't worry.
Yeah, correct. Can you take those honorable ministers? Those are 5.
Let's hear those if they have more. Yeah.
Any more? Yeah. The lady there. Just raise your voice.
My name is Hafina from your end. I'm wondering why we can't get the one money for the CCTV cameras, the loan.
Okay.
6th question. Gentleman, the hand up.
Thank you, very good. I'm called Serwaniko.
But you make the voice tall.
Yes, I tried. I'm John Serwaniko. I work on MulengeraNews.com. I want to begin by thanking you for confirming our scope about what you've just communicated.
Which one?
Thank you very much for that. This is the organization of government.
It's been public information.
Thank you.
Okay.
Then I would like to ask the PSC. That 37% we talked about for the wage bill, in terms of absolute figure, what does it come to? Thank you.
I would like to.
So Serwanako is for the PS, okay?
My name is Sudhir from NTV. I'd like the minister to at least list for us about 10 crucial authorities that have been merged.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm Paul Aprile of Paul Aprile. You mentioned that these agencies were established because at some point government was not efficient enough. What assurances do you get that going forward this is going to change? Because I know that some of these agencies used to attract some of the technical people because probably their salaries in government were not enough. So that was the incentive. So what is going to force, are we not going to lose some of these competent personnel who cannot work with government? Yeah, thanks.
I think final, these two final.
I'm Ron Blaguer from Impact Trade and Green Television.
Huh? Blaguer.
Yeah. Formally, these agencies were playing a big role in terms of quick service delivery. Now, imagine this into one ministry. Won't it bring a problem of compiling too much work to these ministries because some of the workers are going to be laid off?
The last one. Yeah.
Yes, the last one.
But you asked.
But you asked.
My name is Renia Tugonza.
Let's get an answer of what you asked.
Trying to use
Tugonza.
Yes, sir. My question goes to...
Which news?
Grapevine News.
Okay.
Yeah. So my question goes back to the CCTV cameras. We know that the idea of bringing these CCTV cameras was as a result of the security lapse around the city and the matters. But my question is about the infrastructure, for example, power. How are you going to deal with that? Because the power in Uganda, the distribution points are known. Some places don't have power. Are these cameras going to come with the solar aiding systems, or you have a new plan?
Okay, Honorable Minister, welcome. You've actually come at the right time when Sudhir wants to know the agencies. He's impatient, so yeah, you'll help me get to know the list. You know, lists are not easy to get, eh? You hear, this has happened, where is the list? So you become anxious, the list is coming. Okay, the question of Kato, of people losing jobs, you need to understand what a restructuring exercise can do. Yes, it can abolish one job and create another or more. Certainly the restructuring will abolish some jobs, but it will at the same time create more jobs. You get it? If, like you heard from the PS of Public Service, many districts in Uganda have unfilled positions. They are operating, I think, at some 50%, around there, or 65. Human resource capacity. Yes, minimum. So if you remove the duplicated functions, you create more. So do not cry for those who lose their jobs in agency X or Y. They can go and work in Kamwenge. Where are you laughing? They can go and work in Kabong. Uganda is not Kampala. Yes, we are liberating these resources to go and serve the people. You have had almost $1 trillion shillings to be liberated from these duplicated agencies. So really, this restructuring will create more jobs. And also, don't look at jobs of salaried employees only. Even when you expand services, you are creating jobs to those who are not formally employed. So really, the efficiency will create much more opportunities. Yes, for example, they reviewed 153 agencies. 153? Let's say half of that goes. For sure, 70 EDs will have lost their jobs. Okay? That's for sure. They can come and be commissioners if they want. But the money from that will employ more 300 or 400 Ugandans at different levels. So let's look at the bigger picture. Another question was, these agents exist by an act of parliament. Of course we are aware about that. An act of parliament, first of all, government prepares a bill, you know that, to create an agency or to create an institution. It is discussed in cabinet, it is presented to parliament. Government is also mandated. We can amend an act of parliament, we can amend even the constitution where it is necessary. Of course, the position of what we are communicating to is a position of cabinet. Now, this position won't take effect tomorrow. It will take effect when the relevant laws have been repealed, because if an agency is removed or merged, definitely will have to repeal its act. Okay? Some may even require to amend the constitution. So amending an act really for efficiency is not the same parliament has been pushing for the right sizing of the public service, as well as removing salary disparities. The gracious, I have more or less touched on your question. When will the merger take effect? It will take effect when the legal framework has been harmonized. You do the necessary amendments, you repeal the law. If the institution the law creates is no longer existing or is merged, so we will follow the right legal procedures. And like Madam Catherine told you, public sector reform is a mandate of a fully-fledged government ministry. every year, every 10 years, they review how is government doing. I think that there was even one in 1999. Yes. You have even sometimes had the president merging some departments. In the constitution, the president is mandated to merge some departments and create others. You remember when the president is announcing cabinet, before the Ministry of Science and Technology had been in education. So he was able to create an independent ministry. So reviewing government agencies is an ongoing process. Will heads of these agencies retain their jobs? Those that want can fit in the new framework. Yes. And let's not look at individuals' friends. Let's look at what is good for Uganda. Yes. I am here speaking as your Minister of Information. I may not be here forever. Tomorrow I could be somebody else. Tomorrow I could be a cow. Yes. Or I could be a journalist at Murengera News. So let's not look at people in offices. Let's look at what is good for the country. Is the principle of restructuring good for the country? Yes. It frees more resources from the center to the lower people. It creates more service centers, and it harmonizes salaries. Patrick Okaido, how many staff are likely to lose jobs? Not really sure, but like I answered, some jobs will be, we will see. You will see according to the list. Don't look at how many in agency X will lose jobs without looking at how many other jobs will be created. Because if you say 300 are going to lose jobs, when the restructuring is going to create 1,000 at different levels of government service, then for us, when you balance, the balance sheet is positive. Yes. Because even a parish chief is a government employee. Since you're talking of low earners, there is a person called the parish chief in your village who looks after the parish. How much is he earning? How much is a sweeper in an agency who is by all standards much lower of a lower qualification compared to the parish chief? It wasn't how to be a parish chief. You could even be a graduate or a diploma holder, something like that. So these disparities are not good for the country. And of course, how those disparities come, it was because of the different acts of parliament. So we're now going to harmonize all of this. Sadab Kitaka, EDs are politically appointed. That's not true, Sadab. EDs of agencies are appointed in accordance with what the acts establishing those institutions say. Take an example, the ED of KCCA. You can't say she's a politically appointed. The KCCA Act requires the president to appoint her or him. So that's what the law says. Yes, if the law says it is the president to appoint on the recommendation of public service, and of course, you also need to know what the laws say. It is not written that the one to head UNRWA must be an engineer. There is management, there is technical execution of work. So, there is no ED who is appointed who is not qualified to be in the position he or she is in. The appointments are in accordance with those acts you are talking about. Otherwise, anybody could challenge the appointment. So, and where the president appoints a person, he's not doing it as a result of political influence. He or she is doing it because of the mandate conferred upon the president by the act. Yes.
So, Honorable, what is going to happen to such people?
But I have answered that.
Who are required to have specific qualifications, academic qualifications, to fit into the new
Sir Nambo, your question is vague. Sorry to tell you. I have told you that the existing executive directors of all the agencies we have are qualified in accordance with the laws that establish those agencies. If the agencies are removed, okay, they will fit in the new structure of the merger, if they so wish. If you are an ED of NEMA, for example, or an ED of NFA, and now NFA has been mainstreamed into a department in the Ministry of Environment, if you want, you will come and become a commissioner of forestry. That's precisely that. So there is nothing like having an ED, not having any qualification. I'm not aware of that.
Honorable Minister, just something light on that. Like, for example, what Titata is trying to say, in the ministries, for you to be maybe a commissioner in charge of forestry, you needed to have done forestry. But what happens in the agencies, as you talked about, it is just managerial. Even you can be MD or UBC when you have not gone to journalism school, so long as you know management. So I think that's what he's trying to ask. What will happen to such people who don't have the specific qualification for that post? They are just there because of appointment and management skills.
They will fit where they qualify. So they will fit where they qualify. Yes. Because the restructuring creates the relevant structure. If the you are right. If the ED of NFA, for example, is not a forester by profession, okay, and the commissioner for forestry required is a person with a BSc in forestry, certainly that person will not be there. But my disagreement with Saddam is that that person was not appointed ED without qualifications. He or she was appointed ED by virtue of what the law of NFA demanded. So if the restructuring does not place you to rhyme well with the qualifications of the commissioner, then you will become an undersecretary. You will become a PS. You get the point? Yes, yes. But look at what the restructuring will create. Yes.
And the PS you found?
Then you're going to become a journalist. So what do we do? Yes, yes, yes. Acts of Parliament agreed. We know acts of Parliament. They are assented to by the President. They will be either amended or repealed, where the situation requires. The comrade from the USA journalist, well, you took me to a different story. There is frustration. Well, frustration is everywhere, including in the US. And that's why there are governments. Governments are there to respond to citizens' issues. Even this reform is intended to make government efficient, reduce a heavy wage bill, liberate money from overheads to capital development. That's precisely that. How do governments intervene in the welfare of citizens? You use the budget as a main tool to deliver services. That's why we are saying, let's reduce public wage and put more money in the delivery of services. High taxes, I'm not really sure that you are correct. Just go and look at the African continent, and particularly the East African one. Uganda is the lowest in East Africa. Of the 5 East African countries, Uganda is the lowest in terms of tax to GDP ratio. We are at 14%. Go and see what other East African countries are at. Yes, so the tax to GDP ratio tells you whether the country's tax policy is a burden to the citizens or not. So let's look at statistics and do it so. CCTV loan, I think it's being to be mobilized from different banks. It's a consortium, but one of the participating banks is Standard Chartered, which is representing some consortium of other funders. So do you want some agencies? You will read for them what the Minister of Public Service will be given the floor. Serwanoko, PSC will speak before the minister to answer Murengera news. Soft power, what assurances do you have to cause efficiency? Because why we had created these agencies was for efficiency. Very good question. But look, you've said it. People in agencies were earning higher than people in ministries, 5-10 times. Now, for me to hold you accountable as a public servant or a public official, I must remunerate you better. So this disparity was a huge demotivator in the service. So when we rationalize, you hear the word, it is not only restructuring. She used a very purposeful rationalization. to rationalize is to bring about equity. So when the salaries are at the same, the savings you have had, we shall get as a result of the restructuring. There will be some salary enhancements across different sectors. So there is no reason why you cannot get efficiency in the Ministry of Water, and you can get it in another authority of water. The same people, if the salaries are rationalized, will be here. So it's really a matter of making sure the service is motivated and you don't create disparities. Because if the driver in agency X earns 3 million and the principal officer in the ministry earns 800, the disparity. And that disparity was being caused of the different legal frameworks, yes, which we are trying to correct. Bulegeya, I don't understand what he's asked, I am forgetting.
It was the burden of work to the ministries.
Yes. You see the structuring. That's why we have the Ministry of Public Service. When they give you a structure, they give you the right size. The PS will add on it. All the technical components of an agency that has been mainstreamed will be brought. Okay? Take an example, NITA, which is going to be brought as per the proposal to the Ministry of ICT. Now, the directorate or the department that will be created will need all of those technical skills, the software engineers, the telecommunication, they will all come. Okay? But at administration level, you will be phasing out people. You won't have same accountants, procurement, management. That's why you will be merging. But the technical functions will remain. So there is no way you create a burden. And remember, we run the decentralized system of government. Districts are our frontline implementers. Yes. So people will now go back to the districts. Let people go to the districts, and investors should go and build more housing units in the districts. This is the trickle effect that people are not seeing. Grapevine, urban, well, you need to know Grapevine that we have sufficient capacity of power. Most towns have power. So there's no need to worry. And where there is a backup requirement, the design of the CCTV project has catered for that. There is backup. Even if you have reliable power, for sure you can get power breakdown for once. So you have to have backup. And also remember that these cameras don't only operate on power. They are also powered by the backbone. You need reasonable broadband to power them. So all of that is being factored in the design. That's why the project is taking some substantial amount of money. So let me call the PS of yes?
There have been discussions and complaints on both social media and in the general public about how the communications persons in some of these agencies communicate. For instance, government says this, the communication person in a certain agency says this. As the minister, do you think this merger will bring about proper and believable communication among the PROs?
Well, Patrick, you have the answer. Patrick, you have answered it, because we are harmonizing. What was bringing about that was people acting distinct of one another. Agency this has this plan. Ministry Y has another plan. At the end of the day, it is some sort of blame game. So that one is being harmonized. There is going to be a clear chain of command. And so it will be streamlined. But also, since you talk of social media, be cautious of what you see on social media. Because social media is a field for anybody to post what they want. Yes. That's why we created platforms like this. Yes. I don't know why some of you continue to be misled by people leaking cabinet secrets. Or we discuss in cabinet, we bring it here. So if there is a minister giving you some news from cabinet, not from here, it is fake news. And don't call me to verify cabinet information, because I bring what cabinet has discussed here. So that source of viewers in cabinet is a source of fake news, please. This is the platform where we deliver what cabinet has discussed and decided. Yes, we may discuss a matter, and we defer it or we leave it pending. Yes. Even these government agencies we are going to give you, there is where a decision has not yet been reached. There are others we have left pending for purposes of more research. Yeah.
Maybe just one more last one as the PS comes in. You mentioned a lot that jobs will be created.
Yes.
Have you done a study to try and find out how many people will lose their jobs and how many jobs will be created? Or if it is there, will the PS also assist us with that?
But the PS has told you. You see, it's just because you want flash numbers which are not logically backed. The PS has told you they are going to save almost 900 billion plus. Okay? As a result of merging positions which duplicate one another. Okay? That money will be used to enhance and create a leveled salary system. It will help fill more positions and filled in local governments. So if you want numbers of the ones to be scrapped and the ones to be created, or she will give a comment, maybe they can go and give you that. But what is for sure, what is going to be removed is where there is duplication. Duplication creates nugatory expenditure. If you know the word nugatory, wasteful. Okay? So that money will be freed to employ more people in agencies which are understaffed. E.g., district says, oh, what PS. After the PS, we shall conclude with Sadab. We know each other.
Thank you very much for your questions. Before I tackle the questions, I just wanted to highlight one issue which you have been insisting on, that of the administrators, the managers. Most of the managers of the agencies are, one, on contract appointment, which is normally about 3 years. They can reapply and are also free to reapply for positions within the mainstream. That is same administrative positions like that of PS and undersecretary. And these jobs all attract a contract gratuity. That means at the end of every tenure of office, there is a package, a compensation package that they go home with. It is the same thing that is going to happen for whoever is going to be made redundant. And remember, it is not 100% redundancy. It depends on how the restructuring is going to take place. But there is a provision in the standing orders and under the Pensions Act which caters for redundancy of office, either through abolition of office or any other. So someone goes home with a package. So it does not mean that people are just going to go out onto the street bare without anything. There is also a provision where there is redesignation. You can be redesignated into another position, but of course it is subject to the willingness of the affected party and government, of course. So we need to take cognizance of the laws that are existing that will take care of our staff. The question was how much of the wage bill were the agencies taking. I am going to put it this way, that the 37% is not only wage bill. 37% is the total package of the national budget that they were taking. It includes wage bill, it includes rent, it includes operational funds, and the whole works of it. Now, we're operating on a national budget of 29 trillion, and the agencies were taking 10.8 trillion. Then the other one that was asked is, how will we ensure service delivery? Definitely, this concerns performance contracts. And we'll also be hinging on the other efficient practices that have been in the agencies. It's not that we are throwing the bathwater with the baby out, no. Because we are merging good practices, we are merging functions, we are merging all sorts of things. So it needs to be looked at in totality. The other one was on the issue of just explaining what right sizing is. Right sizing is getting an optimal structure in terms of people, in terms of functions, in terms of efficiencies, in terms of cost saving, the whole works. It's a whole package. And that is what I can answer. We all know that departments are headed by commissioners, right? Commissioners, a group of departments may be headed by a director. And all those are positions up for grabs. And remember, some of the EDs are not only managers, but they also have professional competencies in their various areas. Yes,
okay, so let's now announce for you the PLE results. Since you've been wanting them, we'll also give copies. But please note, this list is partial because there are others still being discussed by Cabinet. I convinced Cabinet that we give you this partial list to avoid speculation, isn't it? Yes, and that's when you should be happy, because I am your advocate. And I didn't want you to get Omunkubo. So the government agencies, commissions, and authorities will be rationalized and reviewed as follows. Agencies to be retained under the accountability sector. When we say retained, we mean those remaining as is. One is Bank of Uganda. It is remaining. So if I say headline that Bank of Uganda is abolished, then you know. I will take you to Mama Fina. Number 2, Uganda Revenue Authority is being retained. Uganda Development Bank, Financial Intelligence Authority, Housing Finance Bank Limited, Development Finance Company of Uganda, DFCU, National Housing and Construction Corporation, National Social Security Fund, Public Procurement Authority, PPDA, Capital Markets Authority, Post Bank Uganda, Pride Microfinance. Under the accountability and financial sector, those are remaining as is. Agencies to be retained under the trade and investment sector. Uganda Development Corporation, UDC, that one is retained. Agencies to be retained under the tourism and antiquities sector. Nairo Hotel International Conference Center, Uganda Wildlife Training Institute, Hotel and Tourism Training Institute. Those will remain as is. Agencies to be retained under the education sector. Makerere University and Makerere University Business School, MOOBS. Mbarara University of Science and Technology will remain. Kyambogo University, Busitema University, Gulu University, Kabale University, Lira University, Muni University, Soroti University. They will be public university will retain. The following training institutions under the education sector will also be retained. Law Development Center, LDC. National Council for Sports, Uganda Management Institute, Nakivubo War Memorial Stadium, Nambole Stadium, National Stadium, Mandela. Agencies to be retained under the ICT sector, Information Technology sector. One is Uganda Media Center, because you must remain coming here. The preferred network, UBC, will remain. New Vision Printing and Publishing Corporation. Uganda Telecommunications Limited, UTL. Uganda Institute of Information and Communication Technology, UICT at Nakawa. Those will be retained as is. Agencies to be retained under the social development sector. The Industrial Court will remain. The Uganda National Cultural Center will remain. Agencies to be retained under the justice, law and order sector. Uganda Human Rights Commission will stay. Judicial Service Commission will remain. Agencies to be retained under the Works and Infrastructure Development sector. Uganda Air Cargo Corporation Limited will remain. East African Aviation Academy will remain. Civil Aviation Authority will remain, and Uganda Railways Corporation. Agencies to be retained under the Defense and Security sector. National Enterprises Corporation and the subsidiary institution of Royal Industries Limited will remain. Agencies to be retained under the energy sector. The National Oil Company of Uganda will remain. Agencies to be retained under the public administration sector. The Electoral Commission of Uganda will remain. For sure it will remain. We'll have elections now and onwards. Kampala Capital City Authority will remain. Parliamentary Service Commission will remain. And the Local Government Finance Commission. Agencies to be retained under the water and environmental sector. National Water and Sewerage Corporation will remain. When we say agencies, we mean the ones that were semi-autonomous. Now, the following are government agencies, commissions, and authorities to be merged. A. Agencies under the accountability sector approved to be merged. Insurance Regulatory Authority, Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority, and Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority merged to create specialized directorates for non-bank supervision within the Bank of Uganda. They will be merged and put under Bank of Uganda, under the Directorate of Non-Bank Supervision. B. Agencies under Trade and Investment sector approved to be merged. Uganda Investment Authority, Enterprise Uganda Foundation Limited, and Uganda Free Zone Authority merged to create specialized departments under the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. Still under that, under the sector, still under the sector of investment, Uganda Exports Promotion Board to be collapsed into a department under the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. Mainstreamed, sorry to use a bad word. Mainstreamed. C. Agencies under the tourism. That's the language they wrote, so it's not my word. Agencies under the tourism and wildlife sector to be merged. Uganda Wildlife Education Trust, Uganda Tourism Board, UTB, Uganda Wildlife Authority, and Uganda Island Chimpanzee Sanctuary to be collapsed into specialized departments under the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. Agencies under the education sector to be merged. National Council for Higher Education, National Curriculum Development, and the Directorate of Industrial Training should be merged into one council. Agencies across the health, public management, and agriculture sectors to be merged. 1. National Animal Genetic Resource Center and Data Bank and Agric, and National Agricultural Research Organization NARO to be merged under policy and administration, but to create separate departments to handle specialized areas under the Ministry of Agriculture. Uganda Cancer Institute and Uganda Heart Institute to be merged and returned to Mulago Specialized Hospital as directorates, and staff salaries duly enhanced to retain them. Virus Research Institute, National Chemotherapeutic Research Institute, and Joint Clinical Research Center to be merged under the Uganda National Health Research Organization. Uganda Nurses and Midwives Council, Allied Health Professional Council, Medical and Dental Practitioners Council, and Pharmaceutical Society of Uganda to be merged to create one council with specialized departments to handle specialized areas. So some councils are being put into one. Agencies under the public sector management, lands, housing and urban development, and accountability sectors to be merged. National Population Council, Economic Policy and Research Center, some water, merged to integrate the functions That's why I should not be Minister of Finance, you people. Reading the budget not easy. National Population Council, Economic Policy and Research Center merged to integrate the functions of both autonomous and semi-autonomous planning agencies and boards into the National Planning Authority. So the National Population Council, the EPRC, will now be under the National Planning Authority, because planning and population statistics and economic policy really are cousins and related. National Physical Planning and Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority to be merged into a department under the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development. Public Service Commission, Health Service Commission, Education Service Commission approved to be merged into one Public Service Commission with specialized departments to handle public servants under respective specialized areas. The Public Service Commission becomes one, but you have specialized areas for the respective disciplines, not separate. Agencies to be merged under the Works and Infrastructure Department. Uganda National Roads Authority, UNRA, to be collapsed into a department under the Ministry of Works and Transport. Agencies to be merged under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. NIRA and the NGO Board to be merged under the ministry. F, agencies to be merged under the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. UEGCL, Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited, UETC, Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited, then UEDCL, Uganda Electricity Distribution Company, and Rural Electrification Agency. Those four to be one. Where is UEB? Those days of yours. No, there's no UEB. That's what you are thinking. I'm just telling you it is UEGCL, which is for generation. UETC, take this thing serious, because you've been having four authorities doing different functions. One was for generation, one was for transmission, another one was for distribution, and the other one was an authority. So we are saying all of these can be merged. The technical functions of generation, distribution, and transmission can still be, but no need for separate administrative centers. We are going, but about to end. Agencies whose functions are to be mainstreamed back to the other sector ministries. Agencies under the accountability sector being mainstreamed back into sector ministries. Non-performing assets trust, recovery trust. I think that's N part. Non-performing assets recovery tribunal, Departed Asians Property Custodian Board, National Rotaries Board, Uganda Energy Credit and Capitalization Company Limited, Uganda Energy Credit and Capitalization Company Limited. Those will go under their mother ministries. Agencies under the trade and investment sector be mainstreamed. Uganda Commodities Exchange, the Uganda Warehouse Receipt System Authority, all of those will be under the administrative ministries. They will be given appropriate departmental structures. Agencies under the Justice, Law and Order sector be mainstreamed. Amnesty Commission, National Citizenship and Immigration Control, Center for Alternative Dispute Resolution, Uganda Registration Services Bureau, we will go under the Ministry of Justice. Agencies under the public sector management to be mainstreamed. National Records and Archives Agency to go under the ministry. Agencies under the agriculture sector to be mainstreamed in their mother ministries. NADS, or National Agriculture Advisory Services. Uganda Trypanosomiasis Control Council. There was a council to control trypanosomiasis. Trypanosomiasis, it is some serious epidemic. Next year when I graduate with my degree in epidemiology, I will come here and tell you about that. But there was that council. Dairy Development Authority, DDA. UCDA, Uganda Coffee Development Authority. Uganda Cotton Development Organization. Uganda Livestock Industries Limited. Uganda Seeds Limited. Agencies under the energy sector to be mainstreamed: Uganda Atomic Energy Council, Electricity Disputes Tribunal. Agencies under the education sector to be mainstreamed: Students Financing Board, National Library of Uganda. Agencies under the water and environment sector to be mainstreamed: National Forestry Authority, NFA, Uganda National Meteorological Authority. NEMA will remain. I think it should have been on the other list. Ministry of Health agencies to mainstream: Uganda Blood Transfusion Services and Uganda AIDS Commission will be mainstreamed in the Ministry of Health. Ministry of Works and Transport, National Road Safety Boards, Transport Licensing Boards, Uganda Road Fund. All of those will be mainstreamed in the Ministry of Works and Transport. Under the ICT sector, UCC will remain as a regulator. NITA will be mainstreamed in the Ministry of ICT. Other agencies are still, Cabinet has deferred them. We are still doing more work, especially those where we are still looking at which could have been formed as a result of international commitments and obligations and conventions. So we are still studying them, but so far, I think this is like 80%, if not 90% of the work. This is 90%. So thank you so much for listening to us. Okay. Okay, I will make a general summary in Uganda. Are you all ready? We go?
Summary in Uganda now.
This copy? Yes. Okay. Media center will multiply. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Ngabulijo, cabinet here today, Monday, State House Entebbe. Chairperson wa cabinet ye president, owekitiibwa president, so yaba the chairperson. Twayisiza ebintu bingi. Ekisooka, Ministry of Health yabulidde cabinet n'aginyonyola okumala okuzimba eddwaliro ery'emulago ery'abakyala erikugu n'okugenda kuligulawo mu butongole. Era ku Lwokuna cabinet yonna ekulembedwa Ssaabaminisita Prime Minister wa Uganda Nduguru Hakana Rugunda. Tugenda mulago kwerabirako n'amaaso gaffe eddwaliro ly'abakyala erigenda kukola emirimu y'endwadde engumu nnyo ku bakyala, those complicated cases. Cabinet yayisiza looni ey'obukadde $104 egenda kuva mu banka zitali zimu na zimu zikulembedwa Standard Chartered Bank okutuyamba twewole sente ezo, tutekeza kamera mu nguudo zonna n'etawuni zonna, kituyambe okugoberera n'okukwata bulungi abatemu abasumbu abantu baffe. Nga tawuni zonna bwemuzimanyi ezensi ezaakula kamera zina kubaawo. Kamera zituyamba kukwata abatemu n'okukwata abamenya amateeka ga traffic n'okulaba ebigenda mu maaso mu kibuga ku lw'obulungi bw'abantu bonna. So ekyo n'okutandika kyatandise, sente tugenda kuzifuna. Era kabineti yayise ekipapula kinene tubadde kimaze ebbanga tukyogerako, ekyokukendeeza ebitongole bya gavumenti kituyambe kufuna ensimbi ezinaatuyamba kuweereza abakozi ba gavumenti bonna emisaala eyenkana era n'okutondawo emirimu emirala mu madistricts n'okuleeta obwenkana mu public service. Mbadde mbasomedde ebitongole ebitale bimu na bimu, ebimu tubigasse, ebimu tubizeeyo mu ministries, ebimu bisigaddewo ku lw'ensonga zitali zimu na zimu. Ekisooka ebisigaddewo byebyo ebikola business nga New Vision, nga Post Office n'ebirala. Ebyesasula tubireseewo, ebitaagala ssente endala kuva mu kitala kya gavumenti ebyo tubireseewo, ebikola ssente zaabyo tubireseewo. Ekirala okugatta tetugyeyo ebitongole ebyobukugu, tugasse administration management. Wow, kati nga bw'owulira Cancer Institute, Management Heart Institute, yes, ebitongole tubigasse. Obukugu bw'omutima gye bujja kusigala, obukugu bwa cancer bujja kusigala, but tugasse management. Tikyetaagisa accountants babe babiri, ab'okugula ebintu procurement babe babiri, manager executive babe babiri. So tugasse waggulu, obukugu bw'emirimu yanjawulo busigala wansi awo, tuteekamu obubondo ne busigala wansi, wadde waggulu buli kimu okweyawula kyekireeta duplication. List tugibawadde, era wakyaliwo ebitongole ebirala cabinet byekyakenenyezaamu kulaba betanamala kumaliriza. Waliwo ebitongole ng'ebimu ebyatondebwawo endagaano zitwasayininga n'amawanga g'ebweru. So ebyo tusooka kubiraba, obutamenya international conventions zetwasayininga. So byebyo bya cabinet, mwebale nnyo.
Neyanziza nnyo. Trillion kumpi trillion emu mu Luganda zemmeka. $988.1 billion in the short run. But in Uganda, what is it? Billion. Esente ze tugenda okufissaawo nga tugasse ebitongole bya gavumenti zi 988 billion.
Okay, thank you so much. Obudde bugenze banange tugende. Mwebale nnyo.
Media Center for Multiplication.